Welcome back to our Bible study. Today we are talking about Psalm 125. We've had some short videos here recently, under 4 minutes, which for me is a record, and I think this one might be another relatively short one. A lot of these Psalms we can move through pretty quickly because they just don't have that many verses. Let's talk about this. If you want, you can download the PDF on our website at tobelikechrist.com. Check out the link in the description. Once again, our page number 1 is going to look pretty similar to some of the other ones. The author of Psalm 125 is not named. We don't have any New Testament references today. As far as our themes, God's faithful ones, or those who are obedient to God, are surrounded by God's protection, just as the city of Jerusalem was protected by the mountains that surrounded it. You can do some geological study of the city of Jerusalem if you want to find out more about that. Now, our two definitions, again, are going to be pretty similar. Songs of ascent, or this is a psalm of ascent, as we're told in the first verse. Most people think that the Psalms of Ascent were psalms that were sung by the people of Israel as they traveled to Jerusalem. Jerusalem sat up on a hill, so they'd have to ascend up the hill to go and to celebrate the feast days in Jerusalem as God told them to do. So those psalms that they sang became known as the Psalms of Ascent. Zion is our other definition, and again, we're pretty familiar with this one. Zion refers to the hill or to the mountain where David built his palace in Jerusalem. This area was the southeast of what would become the larger city. Zion is often used in the Psalms just as a term to refer to the city of Jerusalem as a whole, and that's the way it's used here. Let's take a look at our 5 verses. The title today, The Lord Surrounds His People. So the psalmist wrote that God's people were secure and unmovable like the hill, the mountain that the city of Jerusalem was built on, the mountain of Zion. As the city of Jerusalem was surrounded by hills or mountains that protected it, so God's people were surrounded by the Lord, and He was protecting them. If you were a Jew or an Israelite at the time, you probably would have been familiar with the city of Jerusalem and its significance, and so this illustration, this picture would have been meaningful and relatable to you. The writer of the psalm then prays for God to bless the righteous people and to drive evildoers out of their land. The reason he wanted the evildoers gone was because he didn't want the evil influence of these sinful people corrupting people who were trying to live godly lives and to do what God wanted them to do. And so that pretty much covers our 5 verses in Psalm 125. We'll take that last point and look at it some more for application. The best way for us to avoid being tricked by temptation is to remove it as far from us as possible. We shouldn't want it anywhere near us, just as the psalmist wanted all evil purged from his city. Now, obviously, avoiding temptation entirely isn't possible, right? You're going to come into contact. But we should all, I think, do an audit, do an examination of our lives to find areas where we are unnecessarily putting ourselves too close to temptation. We may have hobbies or forms of entertainment, places that we frequent, or maybe people who we spend a lot of time with who lead us into tempting situations. If our main goal is to walk in the Lord's way, then we should evaluate everything that we do and ask ourselves whether we are unnecessarily exposing ourselves to influences that could lead us into sin.